Let's count down the top 10 Superman of all time. Flying in at number 10, Nicolas Cage. Cage was intended to be a very different Superman from what we have gotten and was set to be part of Tim Burton's universe, but the movie was canceled, leaving this Superman the stuff of legends. In 2023, The Flash Nicolas Cage would get a CGI cameo, and it would be the closest we got to seeing this Superman fly onto movie screens. Flying in at number 9, Superboy, played by Gerard Christopher. Gerard played the role of a young Superboy and Clark Kent on the TV show Superboy, which showed us his early days of being in school, learning of his powers, his non-earthly origins, and growing up on a farm before venturing off to the big city and eventually taking on the larger role of Superman. Flying in at number 8, Kirk Alyn. Kirk Alyn would be Superman in the 1940s popular serials and would appear in black and white. This Superman was a Superman before there were many Supermen. Alyn was one of the original live-action Superman, and there's something to be said for doing it first. Alyn would help popularize a Superman until that point was mostly known for just being in the comic books. Flying in under the radar at number 7, Tom Welling. Welling would be cast as Clark Kent on the WB hit show Smallville and would play Clark for the decade the series ran. Welling would not become Superman, as the show focused on Clark rather than Superman, but he is still regarded as a fan favorite. The show is still watched today by fans of Smallville, and Tom Welling as Superman has left his larger role to the imagination. Flying in at number 6, Superman played by Dean Cain. Cain would be both Clark Kent and Superman on the show Lois and Clark. The show focused on the relationship between Lois Lane and Clark Kent, but unlike Tom Welling's role on Smallville, Dean Cain would don the iconic Superman suit. Fans praised the show for its dynamics and storytelling. Flying in at number 5, Superman played by Tyler Hoechlin. Some fans regard Tyler as the perfect Superman. Tyler was Superman for 4 seasons on the show Superman and Lois. Like our previous entry, this show focused on the story of Superman and Lois, giving watchers even more Superman than the offerings of Lois and Clark. Tyler would be Superman from 2016 to 2024 and could still possibly appear again as Superman in the future. Flying in at number 4, Brandon Routh. Routh played Superman from 2006 to 2019, and unlike previous Superman only appearing in TV shows, this Superman would make it to big screen movies. Superman Returns featured Superman in a really cool suit that embraced the origins but added a modern touch for the new times. The movie had a fantastic cast of actors and actresses and huge action scenes. Superman Returns deserved a trilogy many fans contend. Flying in at number 3, George Reeves. Regarded as TV's first Superman, unlike Kirk Alyn who appeared in serials, this Superman would make it to television the decade later. Set in the 1950s, this Superman would crash through walls and fly into homes, and the show was also broadcasted in black and white. George Reeves is a beloved fan favorite and always makes it onto any Superman list. Flying in at number 2, Superman the Man of Steel. This Superman would be played by Henry Cavill under the direction of Zack Snyder. This Superman would be darker and go places other Supermen haven't. This Superman would do the unthinkable and take a villain's life. Zod would pledge he would kill innocent people unless Superman stopped him once and for all. This Superman would face off against Batman before coming together with Batman and Wonder Woman to forge DC's Holy Trinity, which would later expand to include other Justice League members. In 2025, fans are still calling for Henry to return as Superman the Man of Steel. Flying in at number 1 and landing the cool superhero pose with that famous smile. The one, the only mild-mannered Clark Kent, aka Superman. Played by the legend Christopher Reeve. Reeve would be part of the biggest superhero movie there ever was prior to this by DC or Marvel Comics. In the late 1970s, Marvel was not even in the game of big superhero movies, and DC had not yet established Batman in 1989, so Superman paved a way, bringing superheroes to the big screen in a time it had not been done. The Superman movies went on to make more than a trilogy, and Christopher Reeve and Superman were bonded together like glue and glue. Regarded as the best Superman of all time, this Superman often makes the number 1 spot of not only Superman, but even superheroes in general, and there never is a list or a discussion about Superman without mentioning Christopher Reeve. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you all in the next.